Hi everyone, and welcome back to Woven English, the place where real stories help you grow your English, one word at a time. Today, we are going to learn about one of the most talked about people in the modern world. A man who built skyscrapers, starred on television, and then became the President of the United States. His name is Donald Trump. This is a biography, a story of someone's life. We will follow Donald Trump from the day he was born, through his school years, his business career, his family life, and all the way to the White House and beyond. Whether you already know a little about him, or this is your first time learning his story, this video will help you practice your English listening while discovering a truly extraordinary life. So let's get started. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, in the borough of Queens, in New York City, in the United States. Queens is one of 5 boroughs, or large districts, that make up New York City. It is a busy, working-class area, and it was here that Donald Trump spent his early childhood. Donald came from a large and successful family. His father, Fred Trump, was a real estate developer. That means Fred built houses and apartment buildings and then sold or rented them to people. Fred Trump was a very hard-working man, and over many years, he built a successful business in New York. He became quite wealthy, and his success had a big influence on young Donald. Donald's mother was named Mary Ann MacLeod Trump. She was originally from a small village called Tong on the Isle of Lewis in Scotland. She came to the United States as a young woman looking for a better life. Mary Ann was known for being kind, strong, and deeply religious. She raised her children with love and a sense of discipline. Donald was the 4th of 5 children. He had 2 older sisters, Mary Ann and Elizabeth, and 1 older brother named Fred Trump Jr. He also had a younger brother named Robert Trump. Donald grew up in a big, comfortable house in the Jamaica Estates neighborhood of Queens. The Trump family was wealthy, but Fred Trump believed strongly in hard work and responsibility. He did not want his children to become lazy or entitled. From a young age, Donald was taught that money had to be earned, and that the world respected people who got things done. Donald was an energetic and competitive child. He was bold and confident, sometimes a little too bold. He liked to be in charge, and he was always testing limits. Because of his strong personality and his tendency to be difficult at school, his father made a big decision when Donald was 13 years old. Fred Trump enrolled Donald in the New York Military Academy, a boarding school that taught students discipline, structure, and leadership. At first, it was not easy. Military school was strict. Students had to wake up early, follow rules, wear uniforms, and respect authority. But Donald adapted. He became a good student and a strong athlete. He played baseball and was known as a competitive and talented player. By the time he graduated, he had earned the rank of captain, a leadership position among the student body. After graduating from the military academy in 1964, Donald Trump enrolled at Fordham University in New York City. He studied there for 2 years. Then, he transferred to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, one of the most prestigious business schools in the world. Studying at Wharton was a serious achievement. The school was, and still is, known for producing some of America's best business leaders and economists. Donald studied hard, and in 1968 he graduated with a degree in economics. He was 22 years old, and he was ready to take on the world. After graduating, Donald Trump did not waste any time. He went straight to work for his father's company, the Trump Organization, which was based in Brooklyn, New York. At the time, the Trump Organization focused mostly on building and managing apartment buildings in the outer boroughs of New York City. These were affordable homes rented to working-class families. It was a solid, profitable business. But Donald had bigger ideas. He wanted to move into Manhattan. Manhattan is the heart of New York City, the island of skyscrapers, luxury hotels, and famous streets like Fifth Avenue and Broadway. Real estate in Manhattan was much more expensive and much more competitive. But Donald believed that was exactly where he needed to be. In the early 1970s, Donald Trump began making moves. One of his first major projects was the renovation of a rundown hotel near Grand Central Terminal in Midtown Manhattan. The hotel was called the Commodore Hotel, and it was in terrible condition. The neighborhood around it was struggling, and many people thought the hotel was a lost cause. But Donald saw an opportunity where others saw only problems. He negotiated a deal with the city of New York, which was going through serious financial difficulties at the time, and secured tax breaks that made the project possible. He partnered with the Hyatt Hotel Company, and together they completely rebuilt and redesigned the hotel. When it reopened in 1980, it was renamed the Grand Hyatt Hotel. It was sleek, modern, and successful. And it made Donald Trump famous in New York business circles. People were impressed. A young man in his 30s had taken a failing hotel and turned it into a shining landmark. But that was just the beginning. In 1983, Donald Trump completed what would become his most iconic project, Trump Tower. Located on Fifth Avenue in Midtown Manhattan, Trump Tower is a 58-story skyscraper covered in dark glass. It includes luxury apartments, high-end shops, and commercial offices. The building was designed to be impressive, and it was. Trump Tower quickly became one of the most recognizable buildings in New York City. It was not just a building, it was a statement. Donald Trump put his own name on the building in giant gold letters, visible to anyone walking down Fifth Avenue. This was something new. Donald Trump was not just a businessman, he was becoming a brand. Throughout the 1980s, Donald Trump continued to expand his empire. He bought and developed more properties. He built luxury hotels, residential towers, and resorts. One of his most famous purchases was Mar-a-Lago, a beautiful estate in Palm Beach, Florida. He bought it in 1985 and eventually turned it into a private members club. Today, Mar-a-Lago is his primary home and one of the most famous properties in America. Donald Trump also moved into the casino business. In the mid-1980s, he began investing in Atlantic City, New Jersey, a coastal city known for its casinos and entertainment. He opened several casinos there, including the Trump Plaza, Trump's Castle, and, most famously, the Trump Taj Mahal, which opened in 1990. The Trump Taj Mahal was enormous. It was designed to look like the famous Taj Mahal monument in India, with domes and towers and elaborate decorations. When it opened, it was described as one of the largest casinos in the world. It attracted thousands of visitors and generated enormous attention. However, running casinos was more difficult than building them. In the early 1990s, Donald Trump faced serious financial problems. His casinos were not making enough profit. He had borrowed enormous amounts of money from banks to fund his projects, and now he struggled to pay it back. At one point, experts estimated that Donald Trump had a personal debt of nearly $1 billion. This was a very difficult time for him. Some of his businesses went through a legal process called bankruptcy, which is when a company cannot pay its debts and asks the court for protection while it reorganizes. Many people thought Donald Trump was finished, but he was not. Donald Trump worked hard, negotiated with his lenders, and slowly rebuilt his financial position. By the mid to late 1990s, he had stabilized his business and began growing again. He licensed his name to new buildings and developments around the world, meaning other developers paid him money to use the Trump name on their buildings. He had learned from his setbacks, and he came back stronger. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Donald Trump was more than a businessman. He was a celebrity. He appeared in movies and TV shows. He wrote books, including his famous 1987 title, The Art of the Deal, which became a bestseller. He gave speeches and interviews. His name was everywhere. But his biggest moment in popular culture came in 2004, when he became the host of a new reality television show called The Apprentice. The concept of the show was simple and brilliant. A group of ambitious business people competed against each other in different challenges. Each week, someone was eliminated, and Donald Trump was the one who made the decision. His catchphrase on the show, "You're fired," became one of the most famous phrases in American television history. Millions of people tuned in every week to watch. The show ran for 14 seasons and was a massive hit. The Apprentice did something important for Donald Trump's image. It showed him to a generation of Americans who might not follow business news. They saw him as a powerful, decisive, no-nonsense leader. The show made him a household name across America and around the world. During these years, Donald Trump also became known for his larger-than-life personality. He was loud, confident, and unafraid to say controversial things. He was not afraid to argue or fight back. Love him or dislike him, people could not ignore him. And his lifestyle reflected his image. He lived in a golden penthouse at the top of Trump Tower. He flew on his own private jet. He owned golf courses, resorts, and properties in multiple countries. He was the very picture of American wealth and ambition. Behind the business and the cameras, Donald Trump also had a personal life, including 3 marriages and 5 children. His first wife was Ivana Trump. Ivana Zelničková was born in Czechoslovakia, a country that no longer exists, now divided into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. She was a former model and competitive skier. Donald and Ivana married in 1977, and together they had 3 children. Donald Trump Jr., born in 1977. Ivanka Trump, born in 1981. Eric Trump. Born in 1984, Ivana was not just a wife. She was also a business partner. She helped manage some of Trump's hotels and played an active role in the company. However, after 15 years of marriage, the relationship ended. Donald and Ivana divorced in 1991. Despite the difficulties of their separation, they remained connected through their shared children. Donald Trump Jr., his eldest son, followed his father into business and later became involved in politics. Ivanka Trump became a businesswoman and fashion designer, and later served as an advisor in her father's White House. Eric Trump also joined the family business and helps manage the Trump Organization today. Donald Trump's second wife was Marla Maples. Marla was an actress and model from Georgia. Donald and Marla married in 1993, and they had 1 daughter together, Tiffany Trump. Born in 1993, however, Donald and Marla's marriage was short. They divorced in 1999. Tiffany Trump grew up largely outside of the public spotlight, later studying law at Georgetown University. Donald Trump's third and current wife is Melania Trump. Melania Knaus was born in Slovenia, a small country in Central Europe. She came to the United States to pursue a modeling career and became a successful international model. Donald and Melania married in 2005, and they have 1 son together, Barron Trump. Born in 2006, Barron is the youngest of Donald Trump's 5 children. He grew up in New York City before moving to Washington, D.C., when his father became president. Melania Trump served as First Lady of the United States from 2017 to 2021. Donald Trump is also a grandfather. His older children have families of their own. Donald Jr., Ivanka, and Eric have all had children, making Donald Trump a grandfather many times over. For many years, Donald Trump had talked, on and off, about running for President of the United States. He had flirted with the idea as far back as the 1980s, but he never made it official. That changed on June 16, 2015. On that day, Donald Trump rode down the golden escalator inside Trump Tower in New York City, walked to a microphone in front of a crowd of reporters and supporters, and officially announced that he was running for President of the United States. The announcement surprised many people. He had no experience in government. He had never held a political office of any kind. Politicians and journalists laughed. Many said he would not last long. They were wrong. Donald Trump ran for the Republican Party nomination, and he won it, defeating a large field of experienced politicians. His campaign was unlike anything Americans had seen before. He spoke in simple, direct language. He held big rallies where thousands of people came to hear him speak. He used social media, especially Twitter, to communicate directly with his supporters, bypassing traditional news channels. His campaign slogan was simple and powerful: "Make America Great Again." It was often shortened to just 4 letters: MAGA. He promised to create more jobs for American workers. He promised to build a wall along the border between the United States and Mexico to stop illegal immigration. He promised to renegotiate trade deals that he said were unfair to American workers. And he promised to bring common sense leadership to a political system that many Americans felt was broken. On November 8, 2016, the world held its breath. Donald Trump faced Hillary Clinton, the former First Lady, former U.S. Senator, and former Secretary of State. She was one of the most experienced politicians in American history, and most polls and experts predicted she would win. But in one of the biggest upsets in American political history, Donald Trump won the election. He did not win the popular vote. Hillary Clinton actually received more total votes across the country. But in America, the president is chosen by the Electoral College, a system where each state has a certain number of electoral votes. Donald Trump won enough states to claim a majority of electoral votes, and, with that, he became the 45th President of the United States. On January 20th, 2017, Donald Trump stood on the steps of the United States Capitol and was inaugurated, sworn in as president. In his inaugural address, he spoke directly to the American people. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. Donald Trump served as the 45th President of the United States from January 20th, 2017 to January 20th, 2021. One full term of 4 years. His presidency was one of the most talked about and debated in modern history. His supporters say he achieved a great deal. His critics strongly disagree. Let's look at what happened. In his first 3 years in office, the American economy grew steadily. Unemployment, the number of people without jobs, fell to historic lows, including among African Americans and Hispanic Americans. The stock market rose significantly. In 2017, Trump signed a major tax reform bill, one of the largest changes to the American tax system in decades. It lowered taxes for businesses and for many individual Americans. Supporters said this helped the economy grow. Critics argued it mostly benefited the wealthy. Immigration was one of Trump's signature issues. He began construction of new sections of a physical barrier along the U.S.-Mexico border. His administration also introduced stricter policies on immigration, including reducing the number of people allowed to come to the United States as refugees. These policies were deeply controversial. Supporters said they protected American jobs and national security. Critics said they were cruel and went against American values. Donald Trump took an unusual approach to foreign policy. He emphasized the idea that America should put its own interests first. He renegotiated trade deals with countries like Canada, Mexico, and China. He met face-to-face with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, something no sitting American president had ever done before you. He also moved the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, a decision that was celebrated by some and condemned by others. In early 2020, a new and deadly virus called COVID-19 spread across the world, becoming a global pandemic. This was one of the biggest challenges of Trump's presidency. His administration launched Operation Warp Speed, a program that invested billions of dollars to develop vaccines at record speed. Multiple vaccines were approved before the end of 2020, which many experts consider a genuine achievement. However, Trump's overall handling of the pandemic was strongly criticized. Many felt he downplayed the seriousness of the virus and gave inconsistent guidance to the public. The United States recorded some of the highest COVID-19 death tolls in the world during this period. Donald Trump has the unique distinction of being impeached twice by the House of Representatives, IMs, more than any other president in American history. The first impeachment came in December 2019. It involved a phone call Trump made to the president of Ukraine. Congress accused Trump of pressuring the Ukrainian leader to investigate his political rival, Joe Biden. The House voted to impeach him, but the Senate, which needed a 2/3 majority to remove him, voted to acquit him, and he remained in office. The second impeachment came in January 2021, following the events of January 6th. In November 2020, Donald Trump ran for re-election, facing Democratic candidate Joe Biden, the former vice president under Barack Obama. This was an intensely fought election. Both sides argued passionately. Voter turnout, the number of people who actually voted, was the highest it had been in over a century. When the votes were counted, Joe Biden was declared the winner. Biden received more than 81 million votes, the most votes ever cast for a presidential candidate in American history. Donald Trump refused to concede, to formally accept defeat. He and his allies claimed, without providing accepted evidence, that the election had been stolen through widespread fraud. Election officials, both Republican and Democratic, confirmed that the election was fair. More than 60 courts across the country rejected lawsuits challenging the results. But many of Trump's supporters continued to believe the election was fraudulent. On January 6, 2021, a large rally was held in Washington, D.C., near the White House. Donald Trump and other speakers addressed the crowd. Shortly afterward, a mob of Trump supporters marched to the United States Capitol, the building where Congress was gathered to officially certify Joe Biden's election victory. They broke through security barriers and stormed the building. Congress members fled or hid. The certification process was paused for hours. It was a shocking and unprecedented event, a violent attack on one of the most important buildings in American democracy. 5 people died in connection with the events of that day. Many others were injured. In the aftermath, Donald Trump was impeached a second time, this time for incitement of insurrection. The House voted to impeach him with bipartisan support. However, the Senate again did not convict him. On January 20th, 2021, Joe Biden was inaugurated as the 46th President of the United States. Donald Trump did not attend the ceremony, the first outgoing president to skip his successor's inauguration since 1869. After leaving the White House, Donald Trump returned to Mar-a-Lago in Florida. But he did not stay quiet for long. In November 2022, Donald Trump announced that he would run for president again in 2024. And in November 2024, he achieved something remarkable. He won the presidential election again, defeating the Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and becoming the 47th President of the United States. He was inaugurated for his second term on January 20th, 2025, making him only the second president in American history, after Grover Cleveland in the 19th century, to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. Donald Trump returned to the White House with a new mandate and a long list of priorities. His return marked one of the most extraordinary comebacks in American political history. So, Who is Donald Trump? That question means different things to different people. And that is part of what makes him such a fascinating subject to study. To his supporters, Donald Trump is a fighter, a man who took on a political establishment that they felt had ignored ordinary Americans for decades. He speaks plainly, without the polished language of most politicians. He fights hard, and he never backs down. Many people see him as someone who genuinely loves his country and wants to see it succeed. To his critics, Donald Trump is a divisive and dangerous figure. Someone who used fear and misinformation to gain power, who weakened democratic institutions, and whose actions on and around January 6, 2021, crossed a line that can never be justified. The truth, as is usually the case, may lie somewhere in between, shaped by one's values, experiences, and political beliefs. But whatever one thinks of him, certain things are undeniable. Donald Trump built a business empire from the ground up, or rather, from his father's foundation, and expanded it to touch nearly every corner of the globe. He became a global celebrity. He defied expectations at every turn. He won a presidential election that almost no one thought he could win. He survived 2 impeachments. He came back from political defeat and won again. He is, without question, one of the most consequential and controversial figures in modern American history. His story is still being written. And that, friends, is the story of Donald Trump, builder, television star, president, and one of the most talked about people on earth. From a house in Queens, New York, to the golden escalator, to the steps of the Capitol, his journey has been full of incredible highs, painful lows, stunning victories, and moments that made the whole world stop and watch. Whatever you think of him, his story reminds us of something important. The world can change faster than anyone expects, and the people who shape history are often the ones who simply refuse to stop. Now, here is a question just for you, and I would love to read your answer in the comments. Donald Trump lost the 2020 election, left the White House, faced serious legal challenges, and then came back to win the presidency again in 2024. Here is the question. If you had lost everything, and everyone said it was over for you, what would keep you going? What would give you the strength to try again? There is no right or wrong answer. Just share what is in your heart. I will be reading every single one. If this video helped your English, even just a little bit, please give it a thumbs up. It helps more people find Woven English, and it means the world to us. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new story. We make new videos every week, each one a new life, a new lesson, and a new chance to grow your English. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. This is Woven English, and we will see you in the next story. Take care keep learning, and we will see you soon.